Ralph Northam, you got to go. As we're all aware at this point, Virginia Governor Ralph Northam is dealing with the repercussions of a yearbook photo with blackface and a Klan outfit. Now, Northam claims he wasn't in the photos, but who posts racist photos on their yearbook? He's trying to commemorate his racism. And what medical school lets that type of stuff in the yearbook in the first place? Oh yeah, that's right. Everybody who's claiming they too did things they later regretted as kids, he was in medical school at 25. Ralph Northam, you got to go, because your handling of this disaster has only made things worse. First he said he was in the picture, then he said he wasn't, but he wore blackface dressing as Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson didn't even wear blackface being Michael Jackson. Then at some point, he seemed willing to moonwalk to prove that he could. He clearly does not grasp the gravity of his transgression. So let me help you. Blackface was used for decades to degrade and dehumanize people of color. Intention or ignorance of that is no excuse, especially when you expect to represent these people's interests in Congress, especially when the cries of racism when Republicans were found guilty of similar transgressions could be heard from Richmond to Fairfax. Now, consistency and integrity alone demands you step down. Ralph Northam, you got to go, because your beloved state of Virginia now has a national black eye. This isn't something you can fix with makeup. It's going to take somebody with extraordinary character to heal this wound. Let's get one last check of our question. It looks like 50. Oh, it just went to even. You guys are split on this. We're going to talk about it on our Facebook Live.